Hello everyone, and in this video lecture we're going to talk about the elements of communication. But before jumping to elements of communication, we should first know what communication is. So communication is sharing your thoughts and ideas with others. You have something in your mind and you want to give that to another person. You want to share that with another person. This process is we call communication. So it is simply transferring information from one place, person or group to another person. You have ideas, you have information, you have feelings that you always try to communicate, that you always try to share with other people. So this act of sharing your thoughts with other people is what we call communication. Communication is defined as a process. This process includes different elements. What are those elements? The first one that we have in this process is what we call a source. Then we have a message, and then we have encoding. After that, we have channel, decoding, receiver, and feedback. All these elements are a must for communication. Now we're going to discuss each one of them in detail to know the role of the particular element in this loop of communication. The elements involved in communication process are explained below. Sender. Sender means person who conveys his thoughts or ideas to the receiver. The sender represents source of the communication. Sender is the person, or you may say the place, from where the information flows towards the receiver. This is the source, this is the place where it starts, where this communication, this process of communication starts. So the first element in communication process is what we call a sender. After the sender, we have the message. The message is the ideas, the feelings, the suggestions, the order, etc. intended to be communicated. So it is that thing that you have in your mind, be it an idea, order, suggestion, or anything that you want to share with the person or a group of people, or in any particular person that you want to share it with. So that's what we call a message in this process of communication. After message, we have encoding. Encoding is a process where you convert your message, or you convert your thoughts or ideas into something graphic, something more of a concrete in nature. So to understand this, we have to understand how language works. Through language, we try to convert our ideas into something graphic. By graphic, I mean to say something that can be felt, that can be conveyed to another person. This is how language works. I mean, the words that we use, we actually give them meaning. They in themselves are empty vessels. They don't have any meaning unless we give them some meaning. So when we try to share some sound with someone, those sounds, we have some meaning hidden in them. Once they reach to the ears of the audience, reach to the ears of the listener, that person then extracts that information from that. So you may say it's more like an envelope where you have the message hidden in there, and when it reaches to the person, so he opens it and gets the message out of it. That's what we call decoding, that we are going to discuss a bit later. After we're done with encoding our thoughts into some graphic representation of it, we push that message towards the receiver through some channel. The channel can be either written, can be face-to-face, phone call, internet, etc. So by this we mean to say it can be either written or through gestures or through some sounds. We send that message through these channels to the receiver. So it means that this media or this channel is the bridge between the sender and the receiver. It connects these two entities to help carry this process of communication. After this comes the decoding. We already talked about this. Decoding is when the receiver opens that envelope or that container to see what is inside there and then respond to what he gets out of that container. So this is how, I told you already that this is how language works. One person encodes an idea into something graphic, I mean words or sounds, and the receiver on the other hand, on the other end, has the responsibility of extracting that message or information out of those sounds or words and then respond to the first person or the receiver according to his expectations. After the decoding, we have the receiver we already talked about. So you can say the receiver is and also the decoder of the messages. This decoding is a process and the receiver actually is the element in here. After the decoding comes the most important part of this process, what we call feedback. In feedback, whatever the receiver got from the sender, now he has to answer, he has to send back to the sender. But here, as in my previous lecture, I discussed about effective communication. I said when you get desired feedback, so that would be called an effective communication. So here I'll say once more that whatever was intended by the sender, if the response is according to that, this communication will be an effective one. But if it is not like that, if it is some other way, so it means this communication is a failure. So feedback is extremely important. Unless and until we get the desired feedback, this process is incomplete.